Today's bent arm session is going to be very different than my normal handstand push-up sessions. I'm going to try and go from a push-up position and float up into a crow and back down again. Now I'm not just going to play with the crows, I'm going to go into like the bottom of a press position, so float up in that pike lift-off position and play with different variations. I'm going to start with very easy ones to start with, so just warming up the crow and transition into a push-up. So if you want to join in with me, do that. Let's warm up the wrists first. The prerequisites for this one, basically you just need a crow and you need to have a push-up. This will be very similar to the yoga movements where they transition from the front to the back, from their hands to their feet. And they use quite a bit of momentum when they do it. One of the mistakes I see people make when they try and do that is they throw their weight backwards towards their feet very quickly and don't leave any counterweight forwards. So I'll go through that in a little bit more detail as we go. So if you do practice yoga, this one will come in and work well for you to slow down those transitions. So once we warm the wrists up, I'm just going to do some easy push-ups. So externally rotate, make the body nice and strong. So there, I'm going to take the shoulders and the chest forwards. I'm going to stay on the knees. So then I'm going to lower down to the bottom of the push-up. So chest touch on the floor. And I'm going to come back up. I'm going to protract at the top and come back down again. So 5 of those. Then from there I'm just going to walk into my standard crow position, so knees onto the outside, keeping the fingers, hands externally rotated still. Quite a good elbow bend, so head is quite close to the floor. Just play around there. We want to have that nice and strong. Ideally for this one as well, you should be able to take one leg off. Okay, back to the push-ups again. This time I'm going to go all the way down on the toes. So strong body line position, quite planchy. So chest touch on the floor, back up again, up into protraction, back down again. So 5 reps. Okay, now I'm just going to play with some crow transitions. So I'm going to go from the squat position, transfer into the crow, take the head down towards the floor, back up again, push forwards, so make sure you catch the crow back into your squat again and transfer again. So if you don't get that one, a lot of people get stuck with this. So when they come back off the floor with the head, they move too fast and fall back to their feet. So just watch the transition forwards. So head, see I'm pushing my feet back a little bit with this one, so making sure I don't fall onto the head. And then do the opposite when I come up, I push forwards. So, because if you do that wrong, what will happen is your feet will go back really fast towards the floor. So when my feet come off, my head comes off the floor, I push up and forwards to stop myself falling fast backwards. Okay, now let's start to play with some transitions. So now I'm going to go into that crow position. I'm going to lean forwards a little bit, so take a little bit more weight forwards, which should make the legs a little bit lighter, especially if I take the head down towards the floor. And then I'm just going to step back with one leg, find the floor, step back with the other leg, and then I'll be in the top of the push-up, and then I'm just going to go down into the bottom of the push-up. So it's like the reverse of the movement, but single leg. So normal crow position, take the head down, head forwards a little bit, one leg backwards, second leg backwards, top of the push-up, so straighten the arms, down to the bottom of the push-up. So let's do that one more time. So crow position, head and shoulders forwards, so less weight in the foot, foot backwards, straighten the arms, top of the push-up as the second leg comes backwards, down to the bottom of the push-up. Now when we do this in reverse, people tend to mess it up because you have straight arms. So you need to bend your arms at the right time, so when you move the legs in, you have a shelf to put the legs on. So let's start in the bottom of that push-up. Come up to the top of the push-up, quite protracted, quite far forwards. Bend the elbow to make the shelf. So it's there, second leg into that crow position. Show control, come back down again. Okay, then back to the eccentric one again. This time we're going to make both legs come off at the same time. Now when we do this, we need to be a little bit more dynamic, but not too fast so it throws the weight too fast backwards. We want to keep some weight forward. So I'm going to planche quite a bit as I do this, as I come out of the crow position, shoulders forwards, head forwards, protract a little bit to take some weight so the feet feel lighter as they come back. So make sure we're definitely externally rotating for this because it's going to demand a little bit more strength. Crow position, head and shoulders forwards. As I come back to that position, could be top of the push-up, it could be midway, and then I'm just going to come down to the bottom of the push-up again. So let's do that one more time. So crow position, head and shoulders forwards, bend the arms, push back, top of the push-up, come back down, chest to the floor. Same thing, but now the concentric, so from that bottom of the push-up, I'm going to spring up, and as I come up into the top of the push-up, I'm going to let my legs come forwards, bend the arms, take the head and shoulders forwards, so I make that shelf for the knees to land on. I think I'm actually using too much energy there because it feels like I'm having to deal with that excess energy when I land. So now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to try and link some reps together, and I should be able to get used to the amount of energy I need then, and it should be able to fine tune the pathway a little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to try and make it a little bit more challenging from the finish position. So instead of landing in the crow, I'm going to try and straighten the arms and go into a tuck planche. Now obviously for a tuck planche, we need to make sure that we have the tuck planche. So I'm going to warm that up first. If you don't have it, you could go to a straight arm crow. So again, externally rotate, lots of protraction. So that feels okay. So now I'm going to try and link them together and go from the push up and land and catch in that tuck planche position. I made it was a little bit bouncy, so I had to use quite a bit of strength. Okay, same thing, but now I'm going to land in the bottom of the press handstand. So obviously, again, we need to have that position before we can go to it. I'm just going to warm it up first. Now, as I need to come out of that push-up, I've got to try and get the hip much higher. Oh. Okay, first couple of attempts didn't work. Let's try again. But that was actually much harder, as you can hear, than I thought. It might also be like 2 days after Christmas, too much food and alcohol. That makes it a little bit harder. Now, if you celebrate Christmas, hope you had a fantastic time. Thumbs up and subscribe will be appreciated. Stick any comments down below on this one, it's really interesting. Something a little bit different for you to play with. Speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.